Today I'm going to ha'i Moʻolelo, the Moʻolelo of Kuʻula and ʻAiʻai. Kuʻula Kai is one of two brothers. His brother is Kuʻula Uka, and he is living at the time at Lehoʻula in Hana, right off Koki Beach. He meets this woman and her name is Hinapukuʻiʻa. As they start to live together, Kuʻula Kai is not just a regular human, he's a kupua. And as he starts to grow in his development, what he realizes he is able to do is he is able to attract fish. Because of that, he decides that it is important for him to construct a fish pond or a lokoʻiʻa. The walls are 20 feet thick and the height is about 10 feet. So that's a pretty good size fish pond that you're trying to build. The other thing he builds is a hale, and in that hale is where he puts the akua, whose name is also Kuʻula, and that's where he actually gets his name from. So him and Hinapukuʻiʻa are living there together, and the fish become super abundant, and the people are noticing that there's this abundance of fish in that area that they're in, and they're trying to figure out why. What they realize is that it's Kuʻula who is the one who's able to do that. Word spreads. Kamoho ali'i is the ali'i of the area, and he hears about the abilities of Kuʻula and his fish pond. And so he declares that Kuʻula Kai is going to be his head fisherman from now on and make sure that the ali'i has what they need. So that happens for a while. During this bountiful time, Kuʻula Kai and Hinapukuʻiʻa have a child, and his name is ʻAiʻai Kuʻula. ʻAiʻai is what most of us know him as. And he grows up, he learns the ways of his makua and how to please their ali'i. Knowing that his father is a kupua, he's able to learn under him. So what happens eventually is there is this puhi who comes, and this puhi is from Wailau on Molokaʻi. His name is Kekoʻona. He is known in that area to sometimes be an aumakua of the people. Sometimes he's a chief. This puhi, Kekoʻona, he swims from Molokaʻi and he swims all the way to the area of Lehoʻula. And he notices the fish pond. Eels, their natural ability is smell. They can't see very well, so he can smell the fish. He decides he wants the fish from that fish pond. Kuʻula Kai is noticing that there's a depletion all of a sudden in his fish pond. And we all know, obviously it's going to be the puhi. This puhi goes in and he starts to eat and eat and eat. And Kuʻula is trying to figure out, why is my lokoʻiʻa getting less and less of fish that I need? He decides he's going to stay up all night long and kilo the entire night for whoever is the thief that is stealing the i'a. It isn't until dawn break that he sees this huge puhi go over the wall and starts to eat. It goes back over, and where he goes back over, he goes and he hides. And the name of this cave that he hides in is called Kapuka Ulua. Kuʻula Kai goes back to his hale, starts to talk to his wahine, and what the two makua decide is it's not Kuʻula that is going to kill Kekoʻona. They're putting that kuleana on ʻAiʻai, their son. ʻAiʻai is getting ready. There's a few things that he has to do. The first one is he has to make these ropes of hau, and he has 2 ropes made, and the one rope is made by the people of Haneo'o and one rope is made by the people of Aleamai. The other thing he needs to get ready are the canoes, and he needs 2 stones. The last thing he grabs is manaya kalani. Manaya kalani, we all know this, is Maui's fish hook too. And what he tells them is, once we get to shore, you have to be ready to pull whatever we're getting up to shore. And then we have to kill it. They go out to Kapuka Ulua and they are looking for Kekoʻona. ʻAiʻai takes the first rock, ties it to his body, and he dives all the way down to the bottom of Kapuka Ulua. And he looks into the cave. He notices that the ulua in the cave look like they're scared. The way that they're running is not a normal way for an ulua if they're the biggest thing in the cave. So he knows that Kekoʻona is in there. He unties himself from the rock, goes back up. He puts a stick on Manaya Kalani, ties the ropes, tells the people before he goes down, when you feel the tug on these ropes, go. Start paddling already. I'll catch up to you. He dives back down, baits the manaya kalani, hooks Kekaona, shoots up as fast as he can to catch up to the boats. They felt the tug, they went. Their one boat is going to Aleamai, the other boat is going to Haneo'o. And they're paddling. As they get to shore, there's more people waiting on shore. The people of Aleamai, there's so many people there to help that they are able to pull up the puhi before Haneo'o is able to pull up the puhi. Once they get the puhi up on land, they're having a hard time kill Kekaona. ʻAiʻai comes down from Ka'iwiopele and he takes these 3 ala stones, and after the 3rd strike of these stones, that's when Kekaona dies. They chop up Kekaona, put him in an imu to make sure he's dead. And what ends up happening, they say, is that his body turns to stone and it's still there in the area of Leho'ula. But his jaw is open like that when he dies. Everybody goes back about their business. They're not worried. The fish pond becomes bountiful again and replenishes. But his kahu comes from Wailau. And the kahu comes, nobody really knows him, but as he has this revenge that he wants against whoever killed his akua, he comes to Leho'ula and Hana and the area, and he becomes the punahele of Kamohoali'i, the ali'i of that area. And during that time, he starts to ask questions, starts to learn who's in charge. Everybody is boasting about how cool Ku'ula Kai is and his son who was able to kill the puhi that was stealing the chief's i'a. So he waits, he bides his time, gets the favor of Kamohoali'i, and he goes to Ku'ula for fish for the ali'i. Mind you, during this time, Kamohoali'i never ordered him to go and get fish. So he's just going to start a ruckus is basically what's going to happen. So he gets a fish. The fish that's given is an ulua. Ku'ula Kai gives the punahele this ulua and there's special instructions. He has to cut off the head. He has to salt it and put it in an imu and then give it to the ali'i. There can be a misconception when you're talking that an ulua is also a man. So when you're looking at this, what ends up happening is the punahele actually throws the fish away. And when he goes to Kamohoali'i, he tells Kamohoali'i, Ku'ula Kai told him that it was about him. The ali'i is the one that's got to be chopped up, salted, and put in the imu. So there's this big uproar with the ali'i, and he sends some of his people to go kill Ku'ula and his ohana. And the way that the ali'i demands them to kill the ohana is to gather wood and put it around the house. Once it's makaukau, they're going to put the whole house on fire. So Ku'ula Kai realizes that that's the kauoha, that's the order that has gone out from the ali'i, and he can't do anything about it. So what he starts to do is he starts to prepare his ohana for this time. He goes to these farmers and he asks them for 3 ipu, 3 gourds, and the gourds are put into the house. And what he starts to prepare ʻAiʻai for is that Ku'ula Kai and Hina will no longer be there once the house goes on fire. They are going to go into their kupua bodies and they are going to leave into the ocean. But the instructions for ʻAiʻai is to take his hokeo, the basket that fishermen's use, put manaya kalani in, put leho'ula in. Leho'ula is a kauri shell that is used to attract gluhe'e. The last fish hook is kahu'oi, which is the pearl fish hook. The very last thing that he puts in, it's this stone. And the stone that he puts in is the ku'ula stone. And that's the thing that attracts and is considered where the fishes come from. He's supposed to take this whole kale of stuff and he's supposed to follow the smoke from the burning house and go up to Ka'iwiopele. And up there, the smoke will mark where there's a cave. So eventually, the people that Kamohoali'i is sending, they ho'omakaukau the hale to be burned. And at that time, they capture Ku'ula's ohana, so Hina Pukui'a and ʻAiʻai. Each of them gets tied to a post in that hale. As the house is burning, Ku'ula tells ʻAiʻai, we're leaving. Hina Pukui'a and Ku'ula leave. And what ends up happening is during this time, as everything is burning, all the fish are leaving too. As soon as Ku'ula says that, all the fish leave Hana, which means Kamohoali'i in the end, he's not going to have no fish. Following the instructions, ʻAiʻai knows he has to wait. What ends up happening is the 3 gourds that they put in there pop. So the people think that the bodies are the ones that are popping and have bursted in the flames. But ʻAiʻai follows the smoke, is able to climb and go up to the cave at Ka'iwiopele. He stays with his hokeo up there till the dust settles. Everybody's kind of okay. They think that they're dead. Meanwhile, there's no fish, and an order goes out from Kamohoali'i. If people don't bring me fish, people are going to start to die. ʻAiʻai comes down off of Ka'iwiopele and he meets this little boy and he befriends this boy. This little boy's name is Pilihavava. Pilihavava's ohana, his makua, are part of those people who have to get hinalea for the ali'i, and they can't. The boys hear the makua grumbling and worried that they're all going to be killed. What ʻAiʻai does is he goes down fishing with him and the little boy. He only takes the ku'ula stone with him, and the little boy has his basket. So they go down to the ocean and he drops the stone in the water and he pules to his makua and asks them to bring specifically the hinalea to him. So the hinalea like rushes to ʻAiʻai. The boy has so much fish he cannot even put any more in his basket, and he just keeps filling and filling and filling. The little boy rushes home to go get his makua and more baskets. And in this rush, people start to hear and everybody's coming down. Even Kamohoali'i ends up coming down, and he's so excited about the hinalea that he grabs one for himself, and he grabs it so fast that he starts to choke on it. And Kamohoali'i dies from this happening. As much as people are trying to, and his kahus are trying to stop him and reach down and grab the hinalea out of his throat, nobody can. So he does end up dying. In this time, after his death, ʻAiʻai is now able to, one, he's supposed to also kill everybody who helped them, and he ends up doing that. Next thing he's able to do is he's able to bring fish back to the Hana area. The place that he does that is at Kumaka Pond. So Kumaka Pond is one of the areas where he declares that he has defeated Kamohoali'i. I chose this mo'olelo because my ohana, my tutu, is from Hanea o Maui, and she lives across Kumaka Pond. So being that I grew up on Oahu, during my summers, I used to get sent out to Hanea o Maui with my grandmother. She felt it was important that I still know the mo'olelo because my ohana is from that area. And this is one of the mo'olelo that she told me. And for me, this is a mahalo to my tutu. She's since passed, so giving this back to her for me is a part of that legacy, and making sure that her mo'olelo and the stories and the places that she loves lived on through me and then my keiki. This mo'olelo can be used in multiple areas of curriculum. How a fish pond works, the brackish, the vaikai. You're also looking at distances that people are crossing in these oceans. A lot of times in our mo'olelo, you're not only going from ahupua'a to ahupua'a, you're going from island to island. Understanding that those measurements also have to be taken, and how did we take those measurements? If you're triangulating points and things like that, navigators use it all the time. It's the same science when you're a lawai'a. In ELA, when we're looking at mo'olelo, and if we are able to use our own mo'olelo instead of a Western mo'olelo, you can still do the same things. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end when you're looking at the ka'ina hana of a mo'olelo and process. So when we start to go back and we use our own cultural lens, then impart the Western, that's where we're able to bridge the two, because these mo'olelo allow us to. That's my kuleana in the library, is to help our kumu find these mo'olelo, where our keiki automatically start to realize, oh, my stories are just important. And if I can learn through those stories, why not? And we have to be intentional about it every single time, that as kumu, if we don't take it as our personal kuleana, whether we're Hawaii or not, because we're working with keiki Hawaii, that is their kuleana, and knowing that we have to impart that on them, that it is your legacy to carry on. So for us, we're looking for mo'olelo that are foundational pieces for them to extend into their everyday life, and then into the legacy that we want to build and they want to build with their ohana. We look to mo'olelo about our aina on Maui here, as well as different lavena or ways of behavior for our kamali'i. That is where we see our children really grow. Our kamali'i grow when they are able to hear mo'olelo as well as tell mo'olelo that they've heard in their own way. They're able to see and gain perspective just in the way that they interact with the mo'olelo. So for me, that's important. Our greatest thing that we have are these mo'olelo. And a lot of times these mo'olelo are held in songs. They're held in stories. They're held in our families. When we share it with our keiki, we've brought out this innate ability in them to see perspective and find identity in each of these mo'olelo. So by sharing mo'olelo, we are giving them a piece of themselves that they never knew that they had.